Okay, so we have our quorum. First thing, approval of the minutes. Do you have any other changes to the minutes, or?
I wasn't there.
That's, everything looks okay?
I move we accept it.
Okay, second? You second on that? Okay.
I was not there
I'll
either.
second. Okay, then that's right. Okay,
Then
we vote.
Okay, can still second? Okay,
Still-
okay, then I'll second.
okay. And all in favor? Aye. All right, minutes approved.
Are you voting or?
I'll abstain.
Okay, public comments, items not on the agenda. Is there anything?
I'd just like to real quick, if you don't mind, introduce brought tonight with me, Kitsy Lemke's with our firm, and she and I work together. She's been with us coming up on 3.5 years. Is that about right? 2.5. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And she'll be, she's a young engineer. She'll be registered here next summer. And she has several years of airport experience, including Charlotte. And she's been working here with Mike. And she's been working at the airport. And she mentioned she didn't know any of the commission members or anybody. So we just thought, here. So
Okay.
Anyway, she knows the airport. And if you see her around, you know who she is. And so if you have questions. So.
Great. Yep. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Welcome tonight.
Yeah, welcome. Okay. Anything else? No. Consider resolution approving the agreement with Bailey Leadership.
So in the packet, you do have a version of this. What I've handed out to you tonight was an updated version. 2 items changed on it. We pulled the insurance information out of it. We did that with the last one, and that just kind of got lost in the translation to the current one. We also updated the indemnification clause to what was in the 2018 version. Because the one that's in the kind of the general template focuses more on construction type projects. So there's more liability and issues. Outside of that, it's the same price, same contract that you've seen.
Okay. I looked it over.
Yeah.
So I move that we approve a resolution authorizing a consulting agreement with Bailey Leadership Initiative LLC for services related to fiscal year 2023 through 2028 strategic plan.
I'll second.
Okay. We need to do a vote with the resolution. Oh, hey, Scott. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Scott, turn on your microphone.
Okay.
Yay! Welcome.
All right.
We're at 4B.
Yeah, okay.
We're at 4A. We need to go down the list, right?
Yep. We've just made the motion to approve the resolution on the consulting agreement with Bailey Leadership Initiative. And we have a movement
In a second.
a motion and a second. We're ready to vote.
Maybe we should just let Scott know about the 2 changes.
Yeah, Scott, in the packet, the version you have, we deleted the insurance information because that was tailored to construction type projects.
Okay.
That's something we did in the past version. Then we altered the indemnity language for the same reason, to cover more of the IP intellectual type stuff as opposed to physical construction work.
Okay.
That version came from the 2018 contract that we had. So.
Okay, so we're ready? Chris?
Yes.
Warren?
Aye.
Electra?
Aye.
Me? Scott?
Aye.
And me, yes. Hi. Aye. Okay.
It's been a week for everybody.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Okay, good.
So with that, I will introduce Regina Bailey.
Yes.
Regina is owner of the Bailey Leadership Initiative. She's also a former city mayor, city council member. She was the facilitator of the strategic plan the last time we did it. And Chris is our lone member that was from that process. So Tonight, we wanted to talk
Yeah,
about, about basically the survey questions that we had in the last one, if there were any changes, and I'm not sure what else Regina had.
Can I join you?
Yeah, absolutely. Come on up.
So you don't have to crane your neck.
Here, have a seat.
It looks very uncomfortable for you.
Sorry about that. Yes.
So we should go through the survey questions because that will be the first step of this process. I think that, Mike, you provided those to
Yes.
them. Okay. And the point of the survey is to do some community survey, gather some community survey information, and we also encourage users of the airport, of course, to take the survey. It's pretty basic. And Mike had suggested that we keep the survey questions as much the same as we can, and then we can do some comparison between the information we gather. But that shouldn't prevent you from adding additional questions, or if a question needs to be slightly reworded, we should do that as well. So I'll just let you look through these and just
Look through, yeah.
let me know what you think.
Yeah, Mike, were there questions?
I don't remember that I had any questions about it. I didn't have any.
Is that what you're
specific.
emailing you, so that's.
Did I
Yeah.
not put them into the packet directly and I just emailed them to you separately?
Could be
Um,
that.
That email was quite a while.
And
That
this
was
is
a
on
while
an email,
ago.
yeah.
That was
I
a long time ago.
apologize for that.
No, that's okay. I'll find it.
Do you have a date?
It's from
But you did email
September
it to us
12th.
separately?
Yes.
Okay.
September
Yeah.
12th. That was an email from September 12th?
Yes, it's a strategic
Titled-
planning proposal.
Well, I can walk through them as you look for them.
I do not have that.
So the community survey, the question one, multiple choice, where do you currently live? We ask about specific areas in Iowa City. Then we ask about different locations in Johnson County, unincorporated Johnson County, and an other option to indicate, because we know that the use of the airport and the interest in the airport is geographically varied. The second question asks about the last time they were at the airport within the past week, past month, past 6 months, past year, and I've never been to the airport. And then it allows for comments. The third, ask about the purpose of your most recent trip to the airport. And this perhaps we should think about if we need extra categories. Fly in aircraft, charter service, pick up, drop off somebody, sightseeing, meeting or use of the conference room, an event or other, please specify. Do you feel like those cover most of the airport uses?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say
That we were going to ask, yes.
Okay. And then we ask a general sort of attitudinal question. The Iowa City Municipal Airport contributes to the quality of life in Iowa City. This is a Likert scale. Strongly disagree, and no opinion, agree, strongly agree. Now, some people don't like the no opinion option on Likert scales, but that's entirely up to you guys. I often put it because some people get cranky if they don't have that option.
Yeah, I like it.
It's fine. It doesn't help
Yeah.
us if they answer it that way. But
There is a place for comments as well. So sometimes when people have no opinion, they'll go on to explain
Yep.
something.
Yeah.
I always like to put a comment option for people, especially, yeah. The Iowa City Municipal, this is the fifth question. The Iowa City Municipal Airport contributes to the economic impact / vitality of Iowa City. It's same rankings with a comment option. And then an open-ended question, and this will kind of serve as an environmental scan. You know, you do the SWOTs analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, typically with a strategic planning session or project. What does the Iowa City Municipal Airport do well? What does it, and the next question is, what does the Iowa City Municipal Airport need to improve? And then the final question is, please include any additional comments about the airport or its strategic planning process below. In the introduction to the survey, we'll talk a little bit about the strategic planning process.
can I ask, how are we distributing these? And to who?
Last time we distributed it through a press release that came through the city. There was a link on the airport's website and Facebook page.
Yeah.
And then we encouraged airport commissioners and users of the airport to distribute it, through their social media, through email.
Can we keep copies here at the lobby and distribute them?
Did we do hard copies last time?
I
I
don't
think
recall doing hard copies.
it's
Because
fine. if
it'd be
we
nice
do.
to do some.
Because people come to the airport and we could maybe have the front desk send it, just hand
I
them.
can't remember if it was the master plan or strategic plan where we had some for pilots when they came in too, but these questions aren't really geared towards.
No, these are more for people who are walking in the front door.
Community.
Pretty
We can
easily.
certainly do hard copies.
Can you send it to Engage, the Iowa City Engage person to send out, they send it out to neighborhoods?
Yes,
Pretty easily slap a QR code on a piece of paper in the front.
Yes.
lobby, too.
And then you have the email list, Mike, that you
Yeah.
send out about.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah.
That's for sure getting spammed with that.
Is Scott frozen or?
No,
He's just very slow.
He's awful.
so any thoughts?
that
In
seems good.
addition to the distribution, any thoughts or additions to the questions themselves?
the longer it is, the less likely people are to get.
Yeah, and it's 8 questions,
Yeah.
and my colleague who will be assisting with this, Jeff Davidson, is a strong believer in short surveys.
Yep.
So I think we wrestled about a couple of questions. So I
Can
think,
we have a picture or something at the beginning that shows like the IOC airport, just that little entrance thing? So they say, oh, that's where it is. For
I
those who don't know.
think
or
SurveyMonkey
help or not?
allows for it. Yeah, I think.
Would that be helpful?
I like that.
Because then it's not confusing us with, because people say, oh,
Face on
I
it.
was at the airport, the one in Cedar Rapids. I'm going, no.
So we'll also
Philistines.
ask for the press release to include that as well, don't
Picture
you
or
think?
something of it.
I'll double check that SurveyMonkey allows for in that intro. I think it does.
Or the building. Yeah, the building would be neat. People might recognize the building,
I have some photos from the last one, so we'll figure something out.
something.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That identifies.
Because
it.
villals, I think, are
Sure,
really
you have new
helpful.
photos, too.
Especially if
Yeah,
it's the
because-
beginning, then people might follow down further if they've hit a visual.
Direct shows.
Okay,
And then in addition to that survey, the community survey, there'll be a commission staff survey. So there really isn't something specifically for pilots or anything. So we expect them to really take that user survey. If you want something designed, we can do that.
I would be in favor of that. I don't think this really applies to pilots.
Okay. So
So I could volunteer to try to put together a few suggested questions.
you're a subcommittee.
I could be a subcommittee.
You can be a subcommittee with a
So,
strategic plan. Sounds good to me.
My recommendation would actually be against doing a pilot specific survey because pilots, there are entry fields in the survey that pilots could put pilot oriented feedback,
Maybe
just so
not
you have like one
necess-
data
Maybe
set.
not necessarily just pilots, but what about hangar tenants? Transient?
I guess it depends on what you want to do with the data, because we're going to collect the data, we're going to use it to inform the strategic plan and through the planning process. If you have the same questions for everybody, then you have one data set and you can identify trends. But if you have different surveys for different audiences, it might be harder to cross them a bit. I don't know.
I mean, the meaningful information we'll get on this community survey from pilots are just comments.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing else would help you. What we really want to know is you have some great suggestions for things we should be doing, or some things you're particularly happy with or unhappy with about the way the airport functions. So you have a vision for how we can make this the next greater place.
Have you considered applying for the commission?
I will say last time, I do recall, and help me remember this, pilots took the general survey and their ideas were captured in comments for the most part.
Comments. And I have no objection to that. That's how we want to do it. It just seems like
it's really your survey, so you, the commission really needs to decide.
Questions are, like.
What type of question would you include?
I'd ask questions about, are there facilities you'd like to see developed or improved at the airport? How do you feel about the costs of operating the airport, hangar rental, fuel, and those sorts of things.
Well, the one about the first one that you said, how do you feel about things that should be or might be added to the whatever? Couldn't that be under the general one? Just add another question there?
Or more?
We could. I just don't think the general public is going to have much of a clue about that, whereas.
And if a survey takes me more than 5 minutes to fill out, generally I get halfway through and I'm like, I'm done.
Well, the one thing that could happen with this survey is if they tick fly an aircraft, it goes to another section that asks about facilities and then costs. And that would add 2 more questions. And then, which would be a 10-question survey.
So
and then it would go, kind of loop in, that section would continue with contributes to quality of life, economic vitality, do well, needs to improve. Please include any additional comments. And I think the additional comments and probably the open-ended questions were the places that pilots contribute the most.
What are we trying to get from the second question? When was the last time they were at the airport?
Kind of usage.
It might be better to ask.
So
how many times were you at the airport?
Let me give you an example of how we use that data. In the past one was one of the strategic initiatives that we came up with was we wanted to bring more people to the airport because we had a lot of people that responded never or once or like in the last year. So one of the impacts that we can point to is that viewing area. We said we need to build things or do things that get people out here. So we built the viewing area, which was a longstanding goal of a few people on the commission at the time, but we did that. And, so now it would be interesting to see now with that question and having done that, like have the numbers changed at all? And can we point to anything that may have contributed to it? So really it's just about identifying trends and changing the perception of the airport. This is less about pilots and more about how it's more about the general perception of the community in the airport and how we can change our strategic goals.
And when I was in city council, and then even probably when we did the last plan, there were continuing concerns about the airport, its relevance to the general community, its impact on the general community, and the benefits. And in fact, many years ago when I was on the council, my first term, there was a lot of discussion. In fact, there's a lot of discussion about bringing the airport under city council, bringing the airport under city manager sort of jurisdiction and different things like that. I don't think that that's the same environment we're in anymore. And so these questions may be less relevant or less impactful to this planning process. So it's something to think about. But that was a big trend. I don't think it's as much. You're having more events out here.
Yeah.
But there were complaints from neighborhoods about noise. There were lots of things that were going on.
Stop.
I know.
So one thing that I think anybody who's a pilot in this room knows is that general aviation airports aren't built anymore in this country. They just go away. So it's really helpful to know what the community, what the temperature is in the community about the airport. And we can use that information to hopefully change the perception. It probably helps that we aren't running an operational deficit and having to siphon money from the city anymore. That probably helps up the road.
Lots.
So, that perception is probably better, but I think that question's fairly important just to gauge, like, with all the movies and stuff that we've been doing, I have to imagine that those.
We have a general aviation airport.
I had wanted to add in
Thank you.
comments.
Yeah.
The airport generates such and such income over the year, or this much towards the university and have them towards the county or whatever, and have it say 2 million, 2,000, whatever, so that people would guess what's brought in. But you said that wasn't, Mike said that probably wasn't good to give them guessing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Plus, you don't want to skew the results.
Yeah.
You want it to be, I think,
what they know before you try to give them information.
Yeah. Well, you want their unfiltered opinion, I think.
Okay.
And some of these responses will help shape how we distribute some information. The state's going to be releasing a new economic development study in the next few months that I'm presuming is going to show the impact that Iowa City has had. It's grown in the last 10 years. But the comments we get from this type of survey, whether people have some type of understanding or, there's still, I've done a couple of presentations, not recently, but a few years ago where, they still thought we were heavily dependent on the city in terms of the general fund.
Yeah.
And when that information gets put out there a little bit more, people share that kind of information, then, the opinions of the airport rapidly flip.
But I think Warren's first question, taking in consideration that part of the strategic goal would be facilities, because we're thinking about the building, would be something to think about adding as a question, because we also want to know not just the public, but the public as well.
I think that's worth asking only if they've been to the airport.
I think that's something that, like Regina said, we could add into, if they check that they're a pilot, then they get a couple extra questions related to that. If
pilot or there are other things in question too that would be relevant, like service, customer. I think any of those.
Well, if any of those are relevant, then
not all of them.
Okay.
I don't know.
But your point about facilities, that isn't going to only apply to, I think even if people know minimal things about this airport, that they know that this looks like a historic building. And so if you're going to do anything about it,
we're going to get a response.
That's would be my, it's a different time than I haven't been on council for a long time, but in this community, historic buildings are a big deal. And so I think that if you are going to do something with facilities, perhaps we should put something in here about facilities. And I'm not sure what the question is.
But we might get responses like Old Jet started up again.
About what?
About Old Jet when it got taken down and then put back up, and it might cause problems before we need to have problems.
Thing is we can
whatever we do.
We will take your comment under advisement.
Yeah, and we know we're going to be doing a terminal study in the not too distant.
So that'll be caught up in there.
Okay, so then we don't even need to include it then.
That will have a survey, right? That will do some community.
I'm imagining it'll have some type of survey component.
Okay, so then we don't need to include it.
Yeah, okay. That would include.
Okay, so
timelines are too separate that I don't think we can combine the two.
That's great then.
And that actually makes a lot more sense because it's specific and it's directed and it's focused and there's a conversation rather than a random question. And then you think,
okay,
so what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's just like, well, So that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Okay, let's leave it simple.
The plan should at least have some kind of goal of developing creating a development plan.
When is the facility study?
Over the next year, year and a half.
So the new strategic plan
We're
will
gonna-
include, I mean, we need to think about facilities and it will have that
And that-
mention.
that during this period, we will develop plan for facilities.
But you don't want it to
Well,
be
those
so
that are
too
quite-
We don't wanna be
specific.
specific.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, and, well, it could even be, depending upon how you want to word it, and you'll see multiple drafts at the end. I mean, now we're jumping to the end, but it could even mention upcoming projects and studies at the airport include a facility study, this, and this. It doesn't even have to be a goal necessarily. It could be,
Okay.
So going to these questions,
We're okay on that.
do you want separate questions for pilots that take them? It would be in the same survey. It would just, if they tick a particular box, then go to some additional
Maybe
questions.
2 more questions, like you said, there's specific services or facilities that you would like to see.
Well,
But that'll be taken care of then in the other survey.
that could be a
No,
general
not really.
question.
Facilities.
Actually, community could say, I'd like a bigger viewing area. I'd like a park. I'd like I mean,
When they get the results, will they be able to see the comments tied to the person's frequency at the airport, stuff like that? They'll see
yeah,
the
that's
survey
what we
fund.
did. We
Right.
did an analysis based upon frequency, based upon area of the community.
Sure.
You can slice and dice.
Right, and we could also use how they use the question.
Mhm.
Question.
Okay.
3 results, how they use the airport.
You're asking if one of their responses, Matt, was tied to their other responses, so you knew like, oh,
Yeah.
this person was a pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
And this person's never been to the airport, but they'd
Right.
still like to see X.
Yeah, right.
And I like the idea of including that, are there facilities or services you would like to see developed at the airport? Something like that.
And just have it as a comment, open comment.
Yeah, it could be another,
Yeah.
Okay. Is that giving you enough information? More than enough?
I like having it. Because it gives us
Yeah.
something, some meat for us to work on in that upcoming sessions.
you mentioned hangar tenants. Should that be a category in item in question 3?
Do we technically have hangar tenants that
Well, probably they're pilots.
Okay.
They would
don't?
come
They'd be already in it.
We have
And if
hangar
they-
tenants that are like restoring cars in the hangars or anything like that. All right.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, well, I didn't, some do, yeah,
I mean, we
Some
might
places do.
have in combination. of
with being a
flying,
flying, yeah, okay,
but-
all right.
So does.
That's a great,
But yes.
And then secondly, there will be an airport commission and a
Yeah.
staff survey. And then part of the process will also be to do one-on-one interviews with all of you and staff and city leadership, city manager.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I have another question.
Okay.
As, just so we can determine, when would you like to start we'll do the surveys first and then, so you can have that information when we begin the process. It's a little bit different than we did it last time. In the proposal, I indicated we could start as early as December 8th. I know that could be a concern because you have a lot of things going on. So my question is, do you want to start the meetings, the strategic planning meetings at your airport commission meeting starting in December or starting in January? Because I need to let my colleague know.
We have the foundation raising funds for the art
I
project,
think it's just, prepping for whatever Art Bureau fundraising.
trying to get
They're
that
gonna be big things.
trying to get that mailed out before the end of the
It
year.
wouldn't be a heavy lift to have everything on an agenda. You're gonna have to get used to 2-hour meetings and not half-an-hour meetings.
Okay,
Yeah.
so December then.
Start in December? Did Scott, I feel like I'm ignoring Scott because he's up there on the screen. So
He's so quiet.
did you have any?
No,
Okay.
it's great discussion.
Okay. So I will see you again in December. I will go ahead and start the survey process, work with Mike on distribution through the cities, sorts of things. And then you'll hear probably from him that the survey is live,
Okay.
to distribute it. And then I'll be contacting you guys to meet with you.
Great.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for your
Thank
time. I look forward to working with you.
Thanks. Okay, airport construction projects, FAA grant.
All right, threshold relocation. Well, you've all seen the emails last couple of days. We had some equipment breakdown from the contractor, so we're slightly behind on where we hope to be. Basically what that means is, as far as the work goes, they're going to be working through the weekend. 725 will be closed. The intersection work, as opposed to two smaller chunks where the intersection is going to be closed, there's going to be one larger chunk on Monday. That will cover everything they need to do in the intersection. So that's going to be 12 to 4 on Monday. But look for a lot of closure of 725 through next week. Gradually getting things back, probably starting with the nighttime operations because lights will be done, ready to go. And then daytime operations as they get everything cleaned up and cleared out. But quite likely that'll be towards Friday of next week. And as far as I sent out an email this afternoon, kind of after all of that schedule was worked out, just to make sure we're still on for the 24th. Everything I've seen up till now suggests we're on for the 24th for the flight check. The same people that respond to emails are the ones doing the flight checks. So I don't have anything back to confirm that that's the case, but I haven't seen anything that would suggest that's changed.
Procedures to be published in the next.
Procedures still to be published on November 3rd.
Okay, sweet.
The procedure will be published on November 3rd. If something happens, what happens is it gets noted done available. So, you know, so publication will happen.
Okay.
1230 displaced threshold relocation. That's kind of the next phase, the final phase of all of the obstruction mitigation approach cleanup work. We got the go letter from the FAA for that. So Carl and Boilermaker starting to work on the task order for that.
And so that'll happen, just relocating it without adding additional another end?
Nope, that's doing everything.
Doing everything?
Yeah, it's doing everything.
So they're planning on going ahead and doing that?
Yeah. So it
concrete too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what the project calls for is roughly 500 foot of displaced threshold on 12. So you're going to be landing pretty close to the intersection. That's where the threshold's going to be. And then on the other end on 30, we get to add 300 feet of concrete to that end.
So you go from 3,900 to 3,700.
So roughly, yeah. Takeoff distance on 30 will actually go up to 4,200 because you'll be able to use the whole thing.
Let's hope not.
I hope you don't. But yeah, you're going to have some different measurements on 30, but in practicality, about 3,700 feet around.
Yeah, cool. And then is there any room in that to add nothing taxiway wise or any sort of access from the south tees?
Not at the moment. We're looking at the bipartisan infrastructure loan money for doing partial taxiways and locations, and Carl is working on some cost estimates for you to figure out how that might work or look.
That'd be awesome. So back to the threshold on 1, 2, you could still take off from the very end of where 1, 2 is now, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So the runway will be 500 feet longer for takeoff.
300 feet longer.
300 feet longer.
On 1, 2, yeah, that's right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
People get more there.
So that'll be good.
Yeah.
I guess technically.
Just have one line is
Yeah, actually it goes the other way too.
Yeah, your takeoff distance both directions is lengthened. It's just your landing distance is a little more
landing distance
less comfy if you're coming in from the north, I guess.
Yeah. Never was
comfy. No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Nope.
So our grant
sure wasn't.
Yes,
Scott, anything?
Clouds and one of the trees.
No.
DOT grant projects?
DOT grant projects, again, South T Hangar Taxi T-hanger infrastructure, that's a springtime next year project. Just keeping it on the agenda because it's a live project essentially. It's still funded and all that fun stuff.
Do we have any bites yet for people constructing hangars?
Not solid, nothing solid.
We've had some nibbles.
We've had a bunch of nibbles, and every time somebody calls in and asks about hangar space capacity, I do bring that up as in the spring we're going to be doing this. If you have the means to be able to do your own hangar, gets you through the waiting list a lot faster.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Skip ahead with this neat trick.
A few nibbles I've given out. I don't know, 2 or 3 different just template versions of our ground lease to people that know what's happening and have said they consider it. But nobody's ever come back with a full proposal on want to build X hangar.
And what's the time period that the airport then owns the hangar? Is it 20 years?
It's negotiable, so the individual 20 to 30, depending on however long it takes. Yeah, if it needs to go 30 for them to get to build something, I'm pretty lenient on that. But there's clauses in there that they have to maintain it and keep it up so that it still has value. We're not going to get a broken down hangar. Yeah, a broken down hangar that's full of holes or something.
Ames just approved 50 years with
50
with renewable after 50 years, which is crazy. Crazy good for somebody who's trying to build. Well, I just ran the numbers from our standpoint to try to build something in 30 years. It just wasn't, even at 30 years, it just financially just cannot. You cannot recoup it.
Right.
And it may be something because of the economy.
Because of the expenses.
If it's 50 years, you could occupy it for 20 and sell it to the next guy.
Exactly. Yeah, you have a little bit of room left potentially.
Yeah, so you get your cost back and the next guy has 30 years to get his cost back.
Yeah.
The one you built's 30, right?
Yeah, the one we built was 30. Yeah.
Okay.
But we built it for about half of what it would take now.
Yeah.
So
it made more sense. You wouldn't maybe be able to do the same.
I could build it again right now. Yeah. Without a major adjustment on the lease stuff. Just something to keep in mind.
Okay, so for the FY23 terminal building.
Terminal building improvements, FY23 stuff. We at about 4 o'clock today, we got the slime drains back from the state. Again, Bolton Inc. is working on task orders for those 2 projects. Expect it to be springtime projects for the airport. Locally funded stuff, parking lot additions. Well, I assume everybody drove by the parking lot construction. So as I've been saying for the last couple of months, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It is in fact happening.
It's being dug up. Yay.
Hopefully that's done in the near future. I don't actually have a final scheduled date that is running through Public Works. So the city engineer that's in charge of it is kind of the point person. And I've had enough other stuff to deal with. I haven't spent too much time worrying about it. Hangar A mural project. I know Wendy took the RFQ to the Public Art Advisory Committee this afternoon. I assume it's been approved, but I haven't actually talked to Wendy this afternoon after that to confirm that.
She thought it would be approved, so.
Yeah, it operates kind of the same way we do as long as we're presenting it. It's typically approved. That one has an end date for November 14th for the artist submission deadline. So once that happens, we'll have a selection process to kind of whittle down some finalists and take the last 3, give them a little stipend, and have flesh out a better proposal for the commission to consider. Is that right?
That sounds good. Future terminal area study.
So what I handed out is kind of a revised version of one of the RFQs. They're both pretty much identical. As far as the RFQ process, the FAA has certain language and other fun stuff that they have to put in.
You didn't come up with this all yourself, did you?
I mean, honestly, most of it is is mine, but there's a few things that are copied and pasted, like the contracts that that gets referenced, all of the different DOT and government regulations that get referenced. So yeah.
Good man, I'm glad I was in charge of writing this.
But FAA does kind of look through it and gives it a blessing so that you're assured that it's your project is eligible for federal funding. The one I gave you is an updated one for the terminal building one. Scott, for what's different in yours, I had in the terminal building RFQ, the actual construction lines for about $3 million. FAA said to pull that one out because that'll be part of our 5-year that we do next year. Right now, it's just going to focus on the 2 items are going to be the terminal area study itself and the the National Environmental Protection Act review. So anything that we are doing still has to go through a NEPA process. And then the solar panel. So solar power one is basically just to put in, again, solar power for the runways and terminals. We are expanding, or at least I am expanding the project slightly. I guess this is probably the first time the full Airport Commission has heard it. When we first went through the PPA last year, we tried to include the university and Jet Air. A lot of the reason we didn't go forward on it was the risk of having to buy that electricity if they disappeared. Now we're looking at just buying the solar panels outright anyway. So we're back to including those facilities. And at the end of the day, because they're going to be our power generation, we're probably going to be able to make some revenue selling it to Jet Air and university.
Sweet revenue.
So that's where that is. The big things with these are probably the dates at the end of it, just to make sure we're all on
October.
Yeah, this one, submittals for both of them are due. Should be I want to double check that date, but right now it's November 7th. I thought I had one of them as the 9th, so I need to clarify that before I publish them. Yeah, the thing below actually has the 9th. November 7th is the last date for any of that. Okay, I just got to make sure I'm reading the right stuff. November 9th for proposals to be due. Basically, if there's more than 3, we'll have a selection committee to whittle it down, and the top 3 will come to Airport Commission meeting and give you the show on why they should be the one to do whatever project we're looking at. Both of them on the same timeline, and then that would be scheduled for December 8th.
So what we're asking them to provide us is their qualifications.
Yep.
We're not providing them here with any information about what we might want to do.
No, that'll be an individual conversation because it's basically here's kind of.
Yeah, this is a good place to start.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the RFQ, yeah.
And there's no pricing involved in it. There's no, that's kind of the other thing that people are a little surprised by. We don't talk pricing at this point. It's purely, everybody submits stuff. We pick the group that we think is going to give us the best job, and then we talk price, and it goes to the FAA.
Okay. Airport operations.
Airport operations, 2024 budget. This one, so in the packet, you had the memo from this budget subcommittee. That memo, half of it's still good. The recommendation for the operations budget, the $13,000 surplus before we start messing with payroll, that's still valid. However, after the subcommittee met, I went back to finance and they put together a revised cost projection for what was being proposed in the memo for the STEP location of the new position. And those numbers came back pretty dramatically different than what I had estimated. Part of that is because also in that the finance department calculated some of that step increase that I didn't at the back end, where I'd be eligible for the next step up. And then I think I just, between the numbers that finance did give me, I think I just grabbed initially a wrong set, like a half-year set. So bottom line is, I think Tonight, what I'm still asking the commission to do is approve the FY24 budget submittal. That will show the $13,000 surplus. And then we can discuss the step and location of the payroll change, assuming the airport commission also recommends that. The airport commission can move forward with the pay grade change.
The 27, we can do a motion tonight.
Yep, that goes to the city council. They wouldn't act on that until the November 1st meeting. And then from there, it's where along that pay grade I get placed, which is the commission decision.
So
We need to make a decision for moving him from a 23 or moving the job description from a 23 to a 27.
that part I got. So I guess I'm curious as to why it has to go to the city council.
So the part that's going to them is the reclassification of the pay grade for the position, not setting Mike's
Not specific.
wages. Now it's it's a weird situation because the commission, you would have the authority to set Mike's wages at whatever you want it right now.
Right. Yeah.
Regardless of the pay scale. But the commission's historically used that, I guess, as a guidepost.
Okay.
And so if you want to continue to do that, it would seem a little strange to set Mike's pay outside of what the current grade is and then ask council. I mean, it's kind of a courtesy thing, I think, to let them.
We're basically playing in the HR sandbox, and then once that's taken care of, then we can
deal
with the salary part on our own.
Making a recommendation to council just to change the pay grade for the position, not specific to Mike.
Got it. Okay. And there's close to zero chance they'd say no, I'm assuming.
I don't think so. I mean, I think
because this comes from HR, right? That
well, there's HR did score the position at 27. I think you'd also want to let council know that you took a look at the job description, you've updated that to make it more in line with what's actually happening. Had HR scored it. And then I think in addition to that, you've taken a look at what pay grade 27 means and agree that it makes sense to put the position there.
Do we need somebody at city council for that?
Electra and I are going.
Okay, good deal. Sweet.
And we were the subcommittee. We went through all the stuff. We compared to all of the the job description.
Commissioner knows what they're doing. So
I think
I'm just gonna sit back. And
I think Mike right now it's at a 23 classification and it's moving to a 27 based on the job description, all the legwork that Judy did. And also HR suggested based on the current manager's job duties compared to Mike.
Yep.
So that's what we're doing today.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're moving him from a 23 to a 27.
Well, you're
recommending.
Well, recommended.
Move the position.
Yeah.
That's what I was curious about. I'm like,
so we need a motion recommending the council reclassify the airport manager position to pay grade 27.
Or that we're sending it to city council.
That we want to send it to city council.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
I second.
Okay.
Yep.
No.
All right.
Okay. So now I need to check off everybody, right?
No, this is all
just a
just
motion.
thing.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Scott?
Aye.
Backing up, because we did get this a little out of order, there still is also a motion to approve the FY24 budget submittal, which again will show
sorry.
What was in the packet, and it'll show at the moment a $13,000 surplus. Actually, it'll show a $20,000 surplus because the city attorney chargeback is not in there because that's one of the last things it can say.
No, okay.
Okay. So,
I move that we approve the fiscal year 2024 budget proposal.
Second.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay. So we approved both motions that need to be done tonight. So anything else or go on to events?
No, just finishing up. I think what's going to happen now is
Our
we're going to
subcommittee.
meet again, talk about the step thing, and then recommend a recommend something for the next week.
Mhm.
And what that looks like will ultimately be based on the budget we have.
It'll be something we vote on at the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, events.
Events, just kind of deleted the categories because we're done for the winter. The last meeting
Yep.
was held the first part of the actual last weekend. So right now,
We're done.
the only thing that's booked for next year is the pancake breakfast. We'll figure out things as we go. And
Any indication? Oh, sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
go ahead.
Any indication from the motocross people that they want to do that again next year?
I assume they're going to do it again because the agreement we signed with them last year was a 2-year.
Oh, was it?
agreement.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember. It might have been a 2 or 3 year agreement because I know we just gave them a little bit extra time because they were investing in some of the repairs out there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay,
Sweet.
Jet Air.
Not on the maintenance side, that I didn't print it this time, but I don't see it in the packet. But, so that's just, someday we'll get on the same page, but really hasn't been anything that's been super duper specific other than with the high winds, we're picking up more trash than usual, and kind of getting geared up for winter type projects. Andrew's currently in the process of power washing off the viewing area thing and getting ready to stain that, unless he already started staining it.
I don't think you started staying with the wind.
With the wind, yeah, I probably didn't. That probably wouldn't be a good idea. Yeah. So he's getting close to doing that. With the runway closure stuff, we're spending obviously a lot more time in Cedar Rapids. Fuel sales are down, but that's how that goes. We're excited about getting it done, even though it's painful while it has to happen. So we've got, last night we had six jets sitting in Cedar Rapids. So it's definitely a different experience, but they're plugging along. And we've worked out
Those sweet signature prices.
Exactly.
Really enjoying that.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just a different feeling. They've been working with us pretty well.
It's
Considering.
75 gallon for avgas in Rochester at their signature.
It's it's definitely not the same as what, it's definitely a lot more money, but
They do have chocolate chip cookies.
yeah, that's true.
We have popcorn.
That's not right out from the oven.
That's true.
You have to
Yeah.
kind of know it's
I have to know.
yeah. Let's see here. So anyway, and there's some logistics with that. We've been sending guys up there, staffing wise, to clean airplanes and fix airplanes, different things like that. The fuel prices had come down, and we're really excited about it. And then this last week they went up 50 cents, and then starting next Tuesday, going up another 25 cents on top of that. So as it slowly eases
You just
itself
had
down
one
10
delivered.
seats a week. What's that?
You just had that load delivered.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Yeah.
at the 50 cents though.
Yeah, the load we got today was 50 cents higher than it was last week. And we're getting another load Monday because it's going up 25 cents on Tuesday.
Like Jet A or 100
That was Jet A. I can't remember 100 load. That's up
Is it
to.
50 cents? So, like it's same?
No, it's variable. I think 100 load had not come down as much. Let me see what he's.
Last time I filled it was like 598. Self-serve.
Yeah, and it's pretty well. We were getting ready to lower it, but because we hadn't sold the stuff to buy more stuff. So, I don't have this text here, but anyway, they send a text every day. And last week he said it was going to go up 20 cents, and then by the time Tuesday actually rolled around, it went up 50. And so that's just how it goes. And today he told us it's going to go up 24 cents. Who knows what? when we get the thing, it could be more, it could be a little less, but. Anyway, so we're just going to keep an eye on that. Obviously, there's nothing we can do about it other than do our best. Once we got that notification that's going up, we try to get a load on Monday, which is why it's really nice to have a second tank.
Yeah.
To try to keep easing things. Last month I was gone and the steerman flying. So they had 83 steermen over there, which was a lot more than they thought they'd have because it was like the 50th year they had 152. But 83 they thought was a lot. They're really hoping to break 75, so that's good. Then one other thing is on October 1st, Jet Air bought Macomb Cobb Aviation Services assets. We didn't buy the company, and are now operating out of Macomb, Illinois as well. So with that, they're an operator who'd been there for 40 years, and we worked with them back and forth on charter and quite a bit because they had king ears. We don't have king ears anymore. So we'd broker for local customers and stuff. And Lee, who'd been there for 40 years, was retiring, wanting to figure out how to retire. So we ended up purchasing all of his assets, and his director of operations who'd been there for 15 years. We basically set him up to continue to operate the charter side. So we bought all the assets and then lease him the king ears to keep in business essentially on that charter certificate, because we can't own 2 charter certificates anyway. So
so the planes are on your certificate now.
The planes are on his certificate.
Oh, on his.
Yeah,
okay.
but we own them, release them to him. It was
Gotcha.
kind of it was a lot of work. But anyway, long story short, it's kind of a way that we could kind of prop him up for that side of it. And then from our side, they have a nice little maintenance shop. They've got 3 guys there that have been there for a long time, which will help for projects, and a couple of office people. And it's a assisted self-service pump. So there's not a lot of like resources that are there, but that's really kind of a nice little spot. Yeah. So. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So we had been working back and forth. We dropped off some pretty big maintenance projects even before it all kind of closed out. But yeah,
So it keeps another airport open.
Keeps another airport open and going. And like I say, they had mechanics and everything. I mean, it's worth it to have another place.
Well, it's geographically relevant to your business. Anyway.
Yeah, it's close.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So as part of it, we got a King Air 200, a 90, a Baron 58, and 2 Skyhawks. And the Skyhawks are older, they're M models, but they're really nice. I mean, nice paint and interior, Garmin 430s. And, so we're not sure exactly what the plan is as far as any of the rest of the assets. The King Airs are going to stay on the charter certificate. The Baron will stay ours for a little bit, and we'll see what we do with it.
Let me know when you get your multi-engine instructor.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah,
Don't tell my
ready
wife.
Yeah. So,
Sounds good. Okay,
but that's pretty much it as far as Jet Air stuff goes.
Great.
Somebody has any
Thank
questions?
you.
Thank you.
No?
Yep.
Commission member reports. Anybody?
I'll be calling in next month,
I'm gonna
Okay.
be out in November. When is the next one?
November 8th.
Okay, I'll be.
You'll be here the 8th?
Mhm.
Okay.
I'll be out of the country.
Okay. You'll be here.
I'll
You will be here.
So you 3 will be here?
and I
Okay, so
will
we
be
have a
here.
quorum.
We
I'll
have a
call in and
quorum.
we'll be fine.
Okay. Okay.
Even if something happens, we still have a quorum.
It's November 10th.
Is it the 10th? I thought it was.
Yes. Well,
Oh.
The city council that we need to
No,
go?
the city council meeting will be November 1st.
Okay.
Yeah.
So which is then, which is the 8th?
the agenda has the 10th
Oh.
and my calendar confirms it's the
It
10th.
is the 10th? Okay.
Yep.
You'll be here.
So
It's a-
our meeting is the 10th?
Our meeting is the 10th.
Okay, yeah,
The city council one we're going to is on the 1st.
first. Okay.
And it's at 5.
And we're at the city
The city one's at 5.
hall?
Yeah.
At
The city hall?
Yeah.
So we've got you 3 for the 10th.
Yes.
You're calling in for the 10th. Scott, you're out for the 10th.
I'm out. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else we need to discuss?
Staff report, I don't think I have it.
No, I'm there.
I've been doing everything. Okay.
In that case, I move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
I have a second.
Second.
Second, we all
Second, okay.